it's often our orientation, and we're so utterly well trained, and I don't mean that in a good way necessarily, well, to be attentive and orientated towards the mind's commentary of this moment. When that orientation is released, automatically there is a sinking that happens into the heart. And it may be not obvious to us that that is what's happening. But it's not obvious to us because we're orientated to the descriptions and the conceptual ideas and mind view of life. There are many techniques, but there is one that I have been offering up to people in recent weeks and months, because it's one that has been very effective for me over the years.
Yeah.
And that is to attend to, there's a deep, visceral, energetic pull that you can tune into and feel and catch a ride on, let's say. That's the wrong question, I would say. From where is irrelevant. The fact that there is that pull, what you start to notice is it's not somewhere the mind can go, so to speak. It's an attention that is not a mind attention. It's an attention that is a felt, a visceral attention, which is more in the realm of the heart. You can attune into quite easily. If you, like, even right now as we sit, can you feel that sort of pull into this moment, this sort of relaxation, this sort of deep, soft, slow pull? You take a few breaths and you'll notice that actually as you let the breath out, there's where it becomes more apparent that there's that energetic pull. Out of the thinking mind. As the general direction of it is a downward direction. But again, I wouldn't attend too heavily to where it comes from or where it is going to, but more that there is a deep pull. To allow yourself to drop into with that pull. What you notice happens is when that is followed, rather than the continual orientation to thought, but that visceral pull, there comes to a place of deep rest, and that's the heart rest I would speak of, the resting in the heart. Exactly. So it's letting go of, you want to use the word sacrifice here, because actually that I think is a good indicator of what is required. To sacrifice our grasp on the orientation to the mental pull. There is a mental pull as well. It's got a different energy to it entirely. And so it can require a sacrifice there, a letting go, as you speak of, a willingness to allow yourself to sink. And that's why I spoke. It's a natural sinking that is already there. And it's a matter of tuning into that, noticing that. There is already that pull. But because we're orientated elsewhere, we miss it. So here's the thing, the mind will tell you it's hard. I'm not doing it right. I've got to get it right. I've got to do it right. And actually it's that needs to be sacrificed, and just it's almost like a leap. And in that moment, a leap from holding on to letting go. And there comes the noticing of this natural pull. It's not anything you have to do. It's a tuning into a noticing of something that's already there. Yeah, and this is why it can be so helpful to, use it as a practice somewhat. What I mean by practice there is tune into that repeatedly throughout your day as much as is available to you, much as remembrance of that, the need to tune in or the ability to tune into that. Because when that happens, that's more easily accessible, I would say. That noticing of that becomes more and more easily accessible. It's a little bit like you're sort of learning a new skill, and it feels hard, or that it feels like effort, or feels like it's something that's a bit alien. But the more and more there's sort of a noticing of that sort of, you're working out that muscle of noticing. We're not creating anything new here, but we are working out a muscle that is not being used maybe so much. Beautiful observation. Yeah. Because it's not a matter of either or in terms of either the mind's going or there's a pull. But as you see that, what I'm trying to point to is actually there is a pull. That pull is ever present. You can have the mind going like the clappers. I don't know if everyone knows that phrase, but we have that phrase in the UK, going like the clappers. And so it's not that has to be extinguished, but it becomes irrelevant when there is a noticing of something that is more fundamental, more prior to the mind going like the clappers. And so that's the reorientation I'm talking about. It's not a getting rid of the mind. We don't need to get rid of the mind. This is a false quest, I believe, to go to war with the mind rather than see that, it's the mind doing the mindy thing that it always does. Fall in love with this deep pull. Someone asked me earlier today, I put up a quote I was thinking about surrender. I put up a quote around surrender, and they asked me, practically speaking, what does that look like? What does that feel like? And it's that opening of the palm to hand to life, the palm of the hand to life. When you open the palm of hand to life, there's where you feel that pull into the depths. When you're no longer at war.